fights. This is why we came to Philly, boys.
What's going on, everyone? I am Matt McSweeney. Welcome to the Hot Take Hot Box. That's what I'm calling my YouTube page / podcast / everything, baby. It's a Hot Take Hot Box. If I need to explain it to you, you just don't get it, buddy, all right? You just don't get it. But enough with the absolutely corny humor. I want to talk about UFC Philadelphia. I was there. I was lucky enough to be there. Saturday, started at 3:30 at the Wells Fargo Center, which is early as hell. Honestly, it was from 3:30, and I don't think we got out of there until 11 o'clock. 10:30, 11 o'clock, at least it felt like. So, I mean, well, no, probably got in our car around 10:50. Yeah. So, I mean, it was a long-ass day, though. You're in there just watching fights nonstop. And if you've never been to a one of the UFC fights or any sort of live fighting, and you're a fan of fighting, you have to experience it in person live. It's just a completely different. It's a different just feel and environment. You gain a different respect for these guys that go in there and basically, are putting their lives on the line to, win, for glory and everything, but, to just make money for their families and just, it's not easy what they do at all. I don't think anyone, I don't have to say that. I'm not saying anything that's, crazy or out of the ordinary. What they do is absolutely insane. It's the modern day gladiators. And just, seeing the walkout and just, thinking of what a fighter goes through in the day of the fight, like walking out. They were sitting back there all day just waiting for, and then somebody eventually comes down the hallway and says, yo, man, you're up. You got to go out there and you got to be ready. You got to be ready to go. It's fight time. And there's no way you can just say, it's not like you can just have a bad game. Like Jordan has a bad game. And, it's no big deal. But these guys, you have a bad game, it could be it. That could be, brain damage, you getting seriously hurt, or just losing and screwing you at going to, at advancing or getting to the championship fight or the big money fights like all these guys want to do, So, I've been to the fights before, but it just made me gain a different respect for these guys. The prelims, for the most part, like I said, I got there as soon as it was starting, and the prelims were, for the most part, I'll go through. I have some of the fights here. I'll go through, fight by fight. A lot of people didn't see the prelims, and honestly, I wouldn't, I wouldn't go back and watch them. Don't waste your time. A lot of them, I mean, they were close. They were good fights, but there wasn't any. There was very few exciting moments, I would say. Alex Perez versus Mark De La Rosa was the first fight. That was pretty just one side of the fair. Perez dominated them. Wherever he wanted the fight to take place, it was going to take place. It seemed like De La Rosa. It was just. Like I said, I don't know much about these guys, but it seemed like I don't know what was Mark De La Rosa's record. 11-2. It seemed like he was rather green, and the other guy I know was 22-5, or is 22-5 now. So he had a lot more professional fights under his belt, and it showed. It did show. He just got outclassed. The next one was a women's fight. I don't exactly know what weight class that was. I think it was 115. Yeah, 115. Mariana the Iron Lady Moroz won by another unanimous decision against Sabina Mazo. She was a longer fighter. It seemed like it took her a while to, I guess, get the range. And and I think it was her first UFC fight, so you could just tell she was not comfortable at all in the very beginning. But towards the end of the fight, she did start to come on, but it just wasn't. It was too little, too late, I guess. And then that last of the Fight Pass prelims was a fight. Casey Kenny, who was fighting on 6 days' notice. He had just fought last weekend, which was crazy to me. And he went 3 5-minute rounds with Ray Borg at Ray Borg's first bantamweight fight, and Casey Kenny won by unanimous decision, which was everyone in the arena agreed that it was a terrible, terrible decision. I thought Borg was not only the aggressor, but he just dictated everything, where the fight was going to take place. Kenny held his own for sure, and I could see a split, but Casey Kenny won in a unanimous decision, which absolutely blew my mind. I couldn't see how there was, whatever, 11,000 people in the building. They saw one thing, and all three of those guys saw something different. So I don't know. Maybe if I go back and watch that fight, I'll feel differently. Though, being in the building, it might have. Maybe people at home saw it differently. Maybe the announcer saw it differently. But at the building, inside the arena, we were not happy. Excuse me. We were not happy with the decision at all. So then they moved on to Kevin Holland, Gerald Meerschaert, whatever, weird name, but he put up a good fight. Kevin Holland won by a split decision. Kevin Holland, he's a Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series guy. He just, in my opinion, just plays around way too much. I know he does it for the gets laughs, and he's all talking to DC in the between rounds. But I mean, a lot of that stuff, it looked like he was gassing out. Didn't look like he was just lucky that the guy that he was fighting, to me, wasn't really that good. Because another fighter would, because he fought someone, in the fight before this, Kevin Holland did. Or no, he fought Thiago Santos in August of 2018. And he got beat up pretty bad, but he stayed in the fight. The whole time he was doing that, he jokes, he talks the whole time, but I feel like sometimes that's to his detriment. If he were, just to take it a little bit more seriously, I feel like he could have finished that guy. And I mean, a win's a win. I understand that, but those finishes, especially if you have a boss like Dana White, the finishes rapidly make you ascend, even if your skills aren't there to match. We've seen plenty of guys. Darren Till, I guess, could be a good example of guys who just rose maybe way too quick. They were put into, a situation that they were setting up for failure. I guess there was no chance they could succeed. They're just not ready. But that's neither here nor there. That's a complete other conversation. But Kevin Holland did get the win. Did get the win. So give him credit for that. But I just feel like in the future, when he keeps stepping up with the competition, it could, that problem could rear its head. We had another Kevin Aguilar, Enrique Barzola. Aguilar was another Tuesday night Dana White's Contender Series bullshit. But I mean, that fight, I was told that Barzola was going to wrestle, and he didn't really even attempt to. I mean, he kind of fake shot a couple clinches just to break it up, but he was getting dominated on the feet. Aguilar was just dominating. There's no other way I could explain it. And I was waiting for Barzola to at least change the pace or try to do something different, and he never did. I mean, who knows why, but Aguilar, I think he's tough. I think he's got great hands, and I think he has good. I mean, we haven't seen him obviously against the elite, but he has, it seems, good enough wrestling and conditioning to compete with the best in the world. So I would be excited to see him, as he ascends and takes, steps, advancing steps in the the rankings, and see how he fares against those guys. Desmond Green, Ross Pearson was the next one. Ross Pearson, the real deal. He is an older man now. You can tell he's well past his prime, and he was fighting a guy, Desmond Green, who is an animal, an absolute animal, physical freak, and he cracked him early and dropped him. You could tell that the chin was weary, and later, just a couple of minutes after that, it was the first round finish. He shot the takedown, got him up against the fence, and just let it go. He just boom, just had to pounded him along the fence, and the ref had to step in because Pearson wasn't getting up. That fight was over, and that was, I would not say the most shocking, but the most wow, I want to pay attention to that guy. That guy just did that in a violent fashion. Desmond Green, someone that I'm obviously going to keep my eye on. That's another situation. The prelims doesn't really, this is just how you notice how you get to know these names, and you associate, you get acquainted with these guys. got like these the Hollands, the Aguilars, the Desmond Greens of the world, they didn't like the Tuesday Night Contender Series guys. This is how they work their way up, man. Because you win the contract there, then they put you on the prelims. I remember you from the show, so I'm like, oh, let's see how he does here in the prelims. All those guys won. It seemed like a lot of them did at least. That next fight was a women's fight. It was Marina Rodriguez versus Jessica Aguilar. Rodriguez dominated again, or just not again. She almost finished it a couple times, but Aguilar was tough. She took a beating. Aguilar in the third round was returning shots. Rodriguez's eye was gonna close. Aguilar was bleeding out from her nose. It was a great fight. Great fight. The women's fights lived up to the hype this past show. They exceeded my expectations. I didn't know what to expect from the first two. I knew that the Waterson fight was going to deliver, and it did. It did for sure. So that was, I think, the first fight, or no, that was the last fight of the prelims, and then they went to. I could be wrong. Who knows? I think now that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, no. This next fight was the first fight of the actual main card. Sadiq Youssef versus Shimon Moraes. I hope I'm saying that right. That was a good fight too. It was very close. Another close decision. There was a lot of close decisions, which some people would complain about. You want to see finishes. You want to see decisive ends to fights. But a lot of these fighters it was just evenly matched, and it was just good to see how good Youssef. He's a young up and coming prospect, and he impressed me, man. I was like, because that Moraes was putting it on him at a certain point. He's a pretty good striker, but Youssef just he dominated it. It wasn't like he was gonna get taken down. He didn't really, shoot for the takedown too much. He did hold him up against the fence a couple times, and he just dominated. He dictated the pace. It was when he needed it, when he wanted it to go onto the fence, and when he wanted to go to the ground. It went to the ground. So that's what the good fighters do, man. They dictate whenever, that's how Khabib does it. If he wants to stand with you, he'll stand with you. If he wants to take you down, he's going to take you down. That's why they're the best, man. But that guy has some big time talent. And the wrestling, you can tell, is there. His hands, he's got power in his hands, but like to see it once he gets a little more, fluidity, I would say, and just his ability to just let them go a little more. He can finish some people in violent fashion. He has already, but guys like Moraes, he dropped a bomb on Moraes and almost finished him. Moraes went for a upwards, an upper, elbow, and he just missed, and he just came over the top with one right here, and that put him down. It didn't knock him out, but it knocked him down, and he was hurt. His legs were were giving out on him a little bit, but that was another good fight. Paul Craig, Kennedy, I won't even try to say that name. Nezuko, I think. Who knows? Bruce Buffer said it. We were like, oh, that's how you say it, and I already forgot it. So, Paul Craig won by a triangle choke. Paul Craig was getting beat up pretty well for the entire fight. He was pulling guard sloppily. He got an eye poked twice. He poked he kicked the one guy in, right in the sack. It was just an ugly, sloppy fight, but the finish was nothing like that at all. It was a perfect triangle. He rolled over and he finished it right. He was just sitting on top of him, just squeezing the triangle choke, and there was no way out. Paul Bear Jew Craig pulled it out, man. And I didn't like the way he fought. He was taking a lot of breaks for the eye pokes. I guess they aren't his fault, He got poked in the eye. Who am I to say how much it hurts or whatever? But it just seemed like, he was gassed, and he needed them breaks, and he used them. And that's Kennedy's fault for even giving him the opportunity to have those breaks. But I'm a big time fan of Kennedy Nimjuku, I will say. He's very raw. Definitely should have won that fight. But I'm very excited to see what he becomes. But Paul Craig, on the other hand, kind of just, it just saved that performance for him. He was on the brink of defeat. It wouldn't have been a good loss for him because he has, I would say I don't think he was the favorite, but he wasn't. I don't know. He wasn't for sure, but He definitely has. It seemed more experience. At least grappling wise, Kennedy shouldn't have. We were screaming it from our seats. Why is he sitting in his guard? He had threatened with arm bars and a lot of different stuff in the beginning rounds of the fight. For you to sit there and play around in his guard, I don't know. It was just dangerous. You're playing a dangerous game, and he got beat because he looked lost. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't really understand where the threats were coming from. If you're not comfortable there, obviously that guy is. You want to stand that back up. He did it a couple times, but at the end he just standing there. I guess you get a little tired. He stood in the guard a little too long, or stayed there, and he got hit. He faked with the armbar, and then he wrapped his legs up quick, and there was nothing that he could do. So kudos to Paul Craig, and I'd like to see Kennedy again. I can't wait. Next one was Michelle Waterson, Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Waterson, she's just quicker than her, more dynamic, I would say. Kowalkiewicz was bigger, but she even got taken down a few times, and they talked about how hard it is to take her down. And she got taken down with a couple times with I'm not obviously an expert, but like a sort of like a hip toss, and she got it a few times. She almost got an arm bar on Karolina. Crazy how Karolina got out of it, but all around great fight. I was amazed by seeing Waterson's kicks. I mean, in TV they're crazy, but in person to see somebody whip their leg around like that, and just how she would fake the kick to the leg and raise it up real high, boom, and try to go for the head. She almost hit a spinning back kick on her. Just impressive to see that. Just how talented, not only the guys are, but the ladies, of course. And they're how quick they do things. Unreal. The lighter the weights, it's just amazing the speed that those fighters have. It's just, I got that's what I just left there with nothing but respect. The next fight was Josh Emmett and Michael Johnson. A lot of people were booing during this fight. They thought it was boring. I didn't really feel that way. It was just, those fights like that, and they were obviously wound up being wrong because I turned around and started, I was just like looking at the guy like, are you still bored? Because he was boring. There was a lot of drunks, I guess they were down tailgating the Phillies game, but there was a lot of alcohol and booze in the area. But Emmett one-hitter quitter in the third round. Johnson had probably won that fight in my mind. He had just done enough. Emmett wasn't able to hit him. Johnson was moving well. And I had been saying to my buddy next to me that it seems like Emmett was just waiting on a bomb. He was just waiting for that overhand right to be there. Wasn't really throwing it, like he was just letting him know that it's there, and he was just waiting for him to be close enough to. And he did. He came right over the top and shut him off. No need for the finish. He just walked over and was like, oh, he's done. And they had to wake Johnson up. It was pretty crazy just how quickly it happened. Same thing with the Paul Craig, how it was just like you thought the fight was going one way, and then it just completely turned from, they swept the rug right out from under you. Wow. I was befuddled. I had bet Michael Johnson, so I was a little upset about that, but it was just, I got to give credit to Josh Emmett, man. He stuck in there. Fight wasn't going his way, but he never wavered, or he never, quit or panicked or anything. He just waited for his moment and boom, dropped it on him. So that, and none of these fights really, especially during the main card, none of them really were, a letdown. I mean, other than the Paul Craig one would have sucked if that had gone to decision. Everyone would have been booing that because that was kind of like towards the end, those guys were gassed. But like I said, the rest of the card, the whole card was awesome. Now you got to the co-main event, Jack Hermanson and David Branch. I can't believe David Branch got choked out that quick. It was just like I've never seen a guy get, like, with his shoulder was in a guillotine, like he just had him in the guillotine, just took him down and done. That was so quick. As soon as, what was that, 49 seconds? As soon as it started, it seemed like it was over. They had a couple exchanges, a little, like a leg kick here, and then it was just that takedown. And you didn't think he was going to choke him out, but once he rolled him back over, it was like, oh my God, that's it? Tapped out, and that was it. Done. Great for Hermanson. Doesn't take any damage. Another first-round finish for him. He can probably get right back on the horse. I mean, save with David Branch. He didn't really take any damage, so Both of those guys can go fight right away. But Branch is going to have to come out and prove himself. I don't. Let me see what the deal is with Branch. Is 37 now. And he's lost to Cannonier. He got knocked out by Cannonier. And he got submitted by Hermanson. Knocked out by Rockhold, which was his first UFC fight. And then he had that win in AC against Thiago Santos. So, yeah, that's 2 losses in a row. This next one's gonna be the next fight for David Branch is gonna be huge. Hermanson, we'll see. Where they take him. He's probably gonna be fighting a top 10 guy. His next fight will be a big fight for the light heavyweight division. But it was pretty impressive. His grab. It seems he's just that much more powerful. I'm sorry. I thought Thiago Santos, but what is it, middleweight? It is middleweight, right? Yeah, but David Branch. So I saw that David Branch is middleweight. So middleweight. His next fight will be a big fight at middleweight, and there are a ton of guys up there at middleweight for him to prove himself against. Main event obviously was freaking crazy. That's where do you even start? So you got Barbosa walking in the Rocky and still getting booed, which was crazy. You had Gaethje, who was just, as soon as he came out, it was just violent. Those guys came out and traded leg kicks, bang, 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 going right at it. First 30 seconds, Barbosa got clipped. You saw his legs wobbling. It was just a absolute frenzy for the whole. Was it 3 minute, 2.5 minute fight? It was just an absolute frenzy. They were trading up against the fence, and then Barbosa kind of got his wits about him. He tagged Gaethje. I saw Gaethje get rocked, and it didn't affect him. He kept zombie walking right towards him, and he just circled him off. He saw Barbosa trying to get out of there. He got close, just misjudged the range, and he just got clipped right here on the chin, and it shut him out. It shut his body off. His arm just went stiff, and boom, he went. Gaethje didn't even have to go over it. That was it. The place went nuts when it happened. He did the flip. Everyone was chanting USA. It was a crazy environment, man. That's what I'm saying to people that have never been to the fights. They're especially when you see something like that. It's crazy. It is absolute madness. You don't know. And there's no other way to explain it other than to experience it. Cause it's like when you're at a football game and they score a touchdown. That's cool. But, there's going to be more of the game. I guess it would be like a game-winning shot, like your reaction to a game-winning shot. But, it's like every fight can be like that. Somebody can get knocked out. The stakes are always extremely high for all of these fights, especially for that. I mean, just the main event, Gaethje Barbosa, 5 rounds. And as soon as the fight started, I knew there was no way we were going much longer because those guys came out with ill intent. It wasn't a feeling out process at all. It was, okay, I know what this is. They were like, we know what this fight's going to be about. Let's just do what it does. Let's go. Let's get at it. And they did, dude. Oh, man, did they. Gaethje's awesome. I can't wait to see who he fights next because it's going to be a big fight. I don't know who it could be. Ferguson. Oh, shit. I mean, it would be a horrible matchup, but I'd like to see it against McGregor. Obviously, I got my Irish, shit fucking all over here. So, love to see that fight. I'd love to see him against anybody. Winner of Poirier or the loser of Poirier Holloway, the winner of Iaquinta Cowboy, any of that, man. Just let me see more Gaethje. Huge fan. Huge fan, man. That guy brings it. He comes to fight every single time, and you can never take that away from that guy. He's always going to have a spot in this sport because that he brings an aggression and just a style that, can't be met. There's no fear at all. That's what he was saying, that he couldn't even feel, he was like getting a little worried because he wasn't feeling anything before the fight. He had really no emotions. And that's just a different dude you're dealing with, bro. But that's pretty much all I got to. Great fight, great fights, great card overall, great main event. I have no complaints at all. And I can't wait till they come back again. I want to go so bad. I want to go to, whenever, if they go to New York, Brooklyn, or if they, somewhere in D.C., I don't care. It's close to Philadelphia or where I live, If they go back to AC again, I'll be there. But I just, I'm an addict now. I want to go see them anytime they come into town. But if you were there, or if you, got anything to say, you let me know in the comments. You could hit me up, Twitter. My name is Matt McSweeney, at Matt McSweeney. I'm always on there. At the Hot Take Hot Box. You can always find me anywhere, bro. Let me know, and I will answer.